If you don't like that, Mondays, 3 o'clock Pacific means that we talk both college and the NFL with Sean Salisbury. And he joins us from a city where it's happening. You got CJ Stroud, who looks like he's freaking all world. And you got the Astros awaiting the winner of Minnesota and Toronto to start their defense of their World Series title with Dusty Baker. Sean, man, it's not like you don't have anything to talk about, man.
Yeah, no doubt, Grant. Good to be on with you. To get to Stroud first, he has been Grant, and for people that just look at the score and the statistics, fortunately get to watch him every week. He's taking shots down the field. This isn't like protected sideways football. He is, and they're doing it with 3 and 4 guys a week, not on the offensive line. First 2 weeks, 11 sacks, haven't given up one the next 2 weeks, and he's setting his feet and throwing. Grant, we knew he could throw it going in. I mean, when he came out of school, he's a great thrower. It's all the other stuff he's doing that sometimes you can't measure or teach. He's got great presence in the pocket, but his ability now to get through reads and do all the things he's doing, there's a lot of command that's growing with confidence. He's their best football player, Grant, over the first 4 weeks. He is their best. I'm talking about on either side of the ball. This has been their best football player, and it's pretty cool. As far as the Astros go, they're one of the great teams, and then you're saying, well, wait a minute, are they going to make the playoffs? And then they go on a run. They like playing good teams, Grant. That's about – give them the A's and the Royals all year. They'll win 80 games. Give them, going on the road to have to beat Arizona, and they'll only give up 2 runs in 27 innings. I still think, Grant, maybe you disagree. As much as I love Baltimore's youth and what they're doing and Tampa's consistency, Toronto's got bats. There's no more feared team in the American League than the Astros.
No.
Because if they're pitching good and 1 through 9, when Yainer Diaz is in the lineup and Chas McCormick, 6-7 guys hitting 850 plus in the OPS category. Yeah. They are relentless. There's no way anybody else is more feared in the American League. Now that they're in, the rest of the American League's like, oh hell, we'd have rather had somebody else. I guarantee it.
All right, I want to get to a game I was at yesterday in Nashville. I got to tell you, the Bengals look to me like as bad as any team I've seen this year, with maybe the exception of Chicago. But I mean, I'm not going to go that much further than that. I mean, they look lost. Burrow looks terrible. I mean, I can't believe I'm watching the Cincinnati Bengals. They look putrid.
You know what it looks like, Grant? The old Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Pre-Burrow. It looks like this is a team scrambling around trying to find 5 or 6 wins. Well, in the case of Burrow, where you're not, you win a couple games, and you got to go get Zach Taylor, you got to go get Joe Burrow. It's a hard watch. I couldn't be more shocked. Now, I understand a slow start, but this slow start looks different. And the swagger and the ball coming out on time with aggressiveness, you can tell, Grant, and I'm not making excuses for Joe, but it's different. The injury the calf has to be bothering him. He can't drive off it.
And get him off the field. They 2 games, they haven't scored a touchdown.
Completely agree. Because in truth, the backup can score no touchdowns. You know what I'm saying, Grant? I can get the backup to score no touchdowns. And I don't need the long-term stuff for Burrow. But they do start slow. But I'll tell you what, you throw the Bears, a Cardinals game once in a while. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the team conversation for bad football on a really good team, because they look nothing like the Super Bowl contenders we all thought going in.
All right, I want to get to the game last night. And I don't normally like talking about this stuff, but I am nauseated at this Taylor Swift stuff. It has gone overboard. I stop it already with this stuff, all right? I get the fact that she's an icon, but I mean, good Lord, NBC should be ashamed of themselves.
I'm over it too. Listen, good for Kelsey and her. Now that they've established this, is there a real reason why that she's got to be the show? She's got her own concert tickets.
Yeah.
One time, a half, that's fine. Okay, great. But does it have, it's a pathetic beg by all the networks. And it's not just NBC, by all of them, and they'll keep putting them on. And now it's become such a sideshow that you're like, there is a football game going on at a sweet sitting Taylor Swift. Great. She's awesome, makes all that money.
Yeah, but I don't blame her. She's not the one that's asking NBC to shoot her in the box.
Right, right. She knows it's going to happen, but come on, it's quite frankly, it borders on pathetic that the director says, cut to the camera in the suite for the 40th time. I think it takes away from it. And what I think they're doing is they're shrinking the game and minimizing the game and maximizing something for ratings, because every 12-year-old in the country or 20-year-old wants to see Taylor Swift. But I'm just seeing her in a booth. Enough. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Carry on the relationship, great, but I've had it. The
Awful.
star chasing shit we have to go through on network TV because they're on it's
you lived it. You were there.
It sucks ass and it's old. Right. Good for them. Let's move on and stop. You save the approach. It's maddening and it's exhausting.
And NBC. And I'm going to be transparent here. I'm a huge fan of Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth.
Agreed.
I do, but I mean, good. They were trying to build up Zach Wilson as if he was like the next Johnny Unitas, and I thought he played well. Yeah, the snap that he dropped out of the gun. I mean, that's a big mistake, and he missed a guy in the end zone. It went off Wilson's fingertips. The ball was a little overthrown, but I thought he played much better. But good Lord, I mean, stop building the guy up. It's like NBC felt sorry for him, and they went out of the way to build him up.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt to make it sound like Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson. It really doesn't matter. I know they didn't say that. You get my point, though, Grant. I understand trying to build a guy's self-worth, but what'll build that or build his confidence? What'll build that is playing good football. He did play better.
Yep.
He did play better, but I mean the hype train. There's nobody buying that Zach Wilson gives you a great chance to win right now. I hope he turns it around, Grant. I do. I really do. How can you not? But in the process of turning it around, it's like if he'll have a game like that and the next week he goes for 145 yards and goes 12 of 27. The sustained consistency is going to be a problem with him as well as consistent accuracy. Yeah, the hyperbole in that game was through the roof for a lot of different reasons.
All right, the Buffalo Bills, they got off to that bad start where Allen was horrible in the opening night game, Monday Night Football, when Aaron got hurt. But since then, I mean, the guy has been perfect. And the Bills yesterday, boy, were they impressive.
Well, Grant, going into this season, didn't you think it felt quiet about the Buffalo Bills a little, Grant? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Unlike the last 3 years hype, they were like the afterthought talk because what Miami was doing with their weapons and Tua's, getting healthy, and the Jets dominate the entire offseason conversation. And they're still Kansas City. We got the feeling, well, maybe the Bills, they're going to be competing for the division. Maybe they're not a Super Bowl team until we see the guy who turned it over so much in the red zone, Josh Allen, who took it to another level but protect the ball. Well, after an early sluggish start, he looks like the MVP of the league.
Oh, boy.
He looks like he's this is exactly what makes this guy a phenomenal guy who's he's a game plan changer for the defense. So they run it, they stay healthy. And McDermott's defenses are always going to get after it. Miami came back down to earth after 70 points, and they still you ran into a really good football team. And if this continues, then Josh Allen, I don't know if he left, but if he protects it in the red zone, the Buffalo Bills will be a hard out in the AFC East, and they have to go back to being the favorite after what we saw last night.
I'm already jumping ahead to next Sunday night. I can't wait for the Dallas-San Francisco game. I look at the Niners. I don't really see any weaknesses at all. Dallas had the mess up last week against Arizona. They looked dominant yesterday. That's going to be a hell of a game next Sunday night.
Oh, man. To me, not just on paper, but the way that these two teams can play and the difference makers at certain positions on both teams.
Yep.
And then we're going to find out with Dak and Purdy. Who matches each other making the simple play, and then who can hit that 3 or 4 big plays? And I saw where Kyle Shanahan was talking about, guys, he takes what's there. The stuff I talk about with you all the time, Grant, about Purdy is as good as there is in the league now at making the ordinary play. And then when the big play's there, he doesn't leave it on the table. And you win a lot of games moving chains and moving sticks, protecting the ball. But I don't also want to diminish just how good he actually is. He's not – I mean, the guy is his feel for the 49ers offense and Kyle Shanahan's nothing short of magnificent.
If the draft were held all over again last year, he went last. He was the last pick in the draft. Where do you think he would go?
First 3 rounds, and I'll tell you why he wouldn't go in the first. If you went by what you've seen, Grant, you know what you'd say, how do you not draft him in the first round?
Yeah.
But even a guy like Drew Brees, who was accurate, all very similar body type looks, right? Doesn't it to you, Grant, seem they're very similar guys? But Drew was second round pick, and I know, you guard against injuries and the rest of it. But if you just look at performance, say the guy command, here's what would happen. Depending on who picked, if the 49ers knew it was this guy and they're drafting, he's a first round pick. Production says first round pick. The biggest problem, Grant, where we want the guy that runs the fastest, jumps the highest, scrambles the best, throws it the farthest, Zach Wilson in a pair of shorts and t-shirt. And all those measurables that you go to a combine for. Purdy may not be the best at it, but when you take those measurables, put in a uniform on and play against 11 on 11, oh, he's sure as hell a first-round pick.
How did Tom Brady do in the combine?
Thank you very much. So my point is, I know where I'd pick him. Grant, what he's doing is not fake. You can't keep doing this and coming off the surgery and still be this. He's better. To me, yeah, that's a first-round pick. But depending on people's they're hard on for big, physical, fast, strong guys. That's fine too. But can he hit the target? And Brock Purdy throws it to the right person accurately, regularly. That's a Super Bowl team with a Super Bowl ready quarterback because of his poise and his accuracy and where to throw it.
All right. Cody wants to know about this decision by the Bears going forward on 4th and 1 rather than kick the go-ahead field goal. It backfired. Was it the right call, Sean?
No, it was stupid. It was stupid. I understand if you failed in a 2-point conversion, Grant, we've seen this, right? We just can't keep up anymore. Let's go for 2 and try to end the game. If it was a tie, right? You have an opportunity here. You kick a field goal, and that applies what, Grant? More pressure. So what do? Yep. You don't. They go down and kick a field goal, come back and throw a pick, right? You put a guy in Justin Fields who hasn't responded to those moments yet, so why not protect him with the field goal? Well, it's not like it was 70 yards. You got a chance to swing through it, put pressure on a team that themselves hasn't been very good. They played better yesterday, Denver. And you know what? It's a shame that it ended that way. And I'm still baffled at the Brandon Staley's and the Matt Eberflus's, guys who continue. It's like, dudes, are you really want to put your job in jeopardy? Your job is to give your players the best chance to win. Are you doing that on a team that struggled to move the ball? Kick it. I mean, listen, I'm a go for the throat guy all the time. And I understand the thought process, but where you are and what you need, kick the field goal and make Russ Wilson go make me an 80-yard play. Yeah. Let him drive down, and then let's see what happens. I think sometimes guys overload their mouth, their mind with their ass and can't quite pull it out fast enough. And you're like, when you walk away, watch tape, say, why did I do that to my team? You've got to give them the best chance to win. And there's a handful of guys in the league that don't do that on a weekly basis. And that's controllable with the damn card you've been writing down all week long. Yep. Those are things you can control, and they haven't. And Matt Eberflus is not long for this gig anymore. No. I hate to say it, but I can't see it, Grant. I just can't.
You know, we talk about coaches. You mentioned Staley. You mentioned Eberflus. We mentioned some of the other coaches. You know, when I look at Tennessee play, I just look at the stamp that the coach puts on that team. You know, Mike Vrabel. I mean, you just can't discount what coaching means in the National Football League. And you know that a hell of a lot better than I do.
Grant, underrated. We get rid of some of them too soon, and we don't. Yep. And we wait too long for some. But then there's some you say, like the Dan Campbell's, where it would have been they could have got rid of him 2 years ago and said, yeah, we're done, we're cutting it off, or last year before the season, right? They didn't. And now look at the payoff, because they saw the forest in the trees, and now you see, and right through them, you see what's going on with some of these other guys like a Vrabel, who, quite frankly, his team is limited, and he always keeps them in the fight. Mike always keeps them in a fight, and it goes back to buy-in, Grant. You've been around the NBA and coaches forever, and baseball managers. The best ones get buy-in, and then they don't care about the criticism they take outside the room. They get buy-in from their players. Dion at Colorado got buy-in. It doesn't matter what outside world says. It just drives them. Same thing here. Mike Vrabel keeps on going. I wonder what Mike Vrabel would look like with Andy Reid's team or with San Francisco's team.
Great point.
He'd be in that category. So the guy is – I hold him in high regard, and he's working with the cupboard's not fully bare, but it sure as hell isn't stockpiled with a year's supply of goods. So Mike's been a damn good coach for Tennessee. And just when you think they're done, he comes in and whoops the team's ass in their building and sends a loud message.
Sean, I don't mean to be jumping on your case, man, with your alma mater, but defensively, I don't see how any way in the world they're going to win a real big game.
Granted, it really, I as much as I love my alma mater, but I'm just as much as I comment, I'll criticize. And I wanted to throw up in my mouth watching that game on Saturday. I did. I did. Not the least of which, can you cover a spread? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. My alma mater, dude, I don't know why I do it, Grant. I tell you the truth. Over the last 8 years, 21 on Colorado, as much as I respect it. Come on, we got this quarterback. And I'll be damned if it booms. They flip the script on them and go. But in truth, if we're talking about national championship, they're not going to get out of the Pac-12 with Michael Penix and that team and a physical Utah team if you can't tackle on inside zone runs and in space. And you know what? Colorado's really good in space. And you post this, but I see it every week. I see them show up, dominate for a couple series defensively. I know they're going to score against anybody. The problem is you play Tulane and they score 45, you score 42 in a bowl game. Or you play Washington, they throw for 500, you throw for 480. I mean, at some point in time, aren't you going to tap Caleb Williams on the shoulder and say, dude, sorry, we've got to do better and your offense because they'll score. But Grant, it made me damn near throw up in my mouth and dry heave because I'm like, this team's so gifted. Don't waste 13, that quarterback's opportunity and the team. It's not just about him, but he's really good. But good gracious, you can't have to score 40 every week, even though they do. Another quarter, they lose that game. I'm just telling you. One more quarter and Colorado score, they're done. So if you can't tackle, they won't. They can't stop Michigan. They can't stop those teams. But they'll stay in it because the quarterback. But unless that gets fixed by 30, 40%, the USC Trojans will not be playing in the Final Four, yet their offense and their head coach on the offensive side, they're good enough to do it. It's putrid to watch.
Sean, I was in Knoxville on Saturday for the game against South Carolina. I mean, I got to tell you, I've been to a lot of big games. And that really wasn't that big of a game. They're playing an unranked South Carolina team. Tennessee was like 21st or 22nd. That atmosphere, Sean, I mean, you've been in big games. I think USC Notre Dame is as good as it gets. But, I look at a South Carolina team. They didn't huddle one time the whole game. They're with that environment, that noise. It's mind-boggling. But what an atmosphere. I got there. The game started at 7:30. We got there at about 1 p.m. We went down to the river where they have all the boats, docked up on it. They call it Bob's Navy. Right. And then the whole day was incredible, but that atmosphere, the noise, and at that stadium, that's as good as I've ever experienced.
Grant, it is phenomenal. Anytime in those SEC cities, but even South Carolina, that's got a good quarterback, and they'll score some points. And they play fast, just like Tennessee and Ole Miss. I mean, they're snapping the ball every 20 seconds or less. It's a blast. And then I'm sure you had a blast tailgate. They get after, and you know what? Whether it's the bars or the tailgate, everybody should experience about 3 or 4 times a year, even if it's not your team, going to a place like Knoxville or Ole Miss, in Oxford. I'm so glad you got to Texas A&M. Amazing. So glad you got to see that with friends. And it's an all-day affair, but worth it. And even though the game, it wasn't Tennessee versus LSU in a nighttime game in Tiger Stadium, which is great. Knoxville didn't have to take a backseat to anybody when it comes to filling up a stadium and passionate fans, no doubt.
And you know what? Unlike at our NFL stadiums, and I was there, we were there all day. I didn't see one fight. I didn't see any of that stuff going on. You look at, social media after these NFL games. I saw what happened, at SoFi yesterday with the Raiders and the Chargers. I mean, it's unbelievable. But at this venue, again, and people were drinking all day long and partying all day long. I didn't see one incident that even made me turn my head.
Yeah, first of all, I don't get – I mean, I love pro sports, but I have no idea, with you getting beat or something. I mean, getting drunk enough, I guess, to create yourself either you causing it or 5 guys beating up on you granted, it's sometimes it's so disheartening. We get people killed in NFL stadiums because after a game while the sun's there 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't see it, and we got to stop it. We got to do better in NFL stadiums and the drinking, and then videotaping while 5 guys are kicking a guy in the ribcage. Even if he did start a fight and was cussing, and you want escort his ass out, let somebody else take care of it and move on. When it comes to protection of women and kids in a stadium, if somebody's abused, then I get you defending them. But it doesn't take 10 guys to kick a guy in a ribcage, try to kill him in these fights. I don't get it. I never will. And there's nothing tough about it. It doesn't deserve. And I want to go punch the people who videotape it right in the side of their friggin' head. I do. Wow. So it's humiliating. It's embarrassing. Quite frankly, it's dangerous. And can you imagine trying to explain to your kid growing up, sorry you lost your dad at a game because a bunch of guys beat him into the ground and the guy kept pounding him and he died at the game you and your dad were supposed to enjoy, regardless of what the dad said and whoever started it. Nobody deserves to have to go through that. It sickens me. And you know the truth, I don't mean that for a pat on the back. I just can't. No. I can't fathom. I don't like sports that much, Grant. I don't. I do not. There's nothing that sports can do. No team. I'm not passionate enough, and that's saying something, Grant, because I'm a sports junkie.
Yeah.
I'm not passionate enough to get into a fist fight in the stands over my team versus yours and what jersey I'm wearing. I'm just not.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I don't like sports that much. If it ended tomorrow, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure not going to try to
Well,
beat somebody's brains in with 8 of my buddies while they sit there. It's just I'm the guy that try to defend the one guy just because. I mean, 7 guys on one or 5 on one. It's unnecessary, and they exist every single weekend in an NFL stadium, and some think it's cool. There's nothing cool about it.
Well, I know one thing you love, and I got my app ready to go for the Giants game, Pro Sports Fans, and I'm dialing up. I'm getting ready for the NBA season on this app as one of the hosts. But again, we talk about this every week. This thing is, I'm telling you, Sean, I'm looking at my crystal ball. This is just going to be, this is the tip of the iceberg right now, man. This thing's unbelievable. It's awesome.
Grant, thank you. The PSF app, it's at PSF_app on Twitter. Go get the app and you'll see what we're talking about. It's the #1 fan engagement app going in. It's not it's matter of fact, it's the best as well. And it's unlike anything that you've seen. And we're just getting started. You're right. Tip of the iceberg, Grant, when the betting part is on there in the next couple of weeks as we continue to build it. And we have every game covered all the time. Eventually we'll be at stadiums with, tables and going through it and doing shows at college, NFL, baseball stadiums. And we're bringing some amazing sponsors, but amazing investors into it. Talent, the whole thing. Guys like you are the difference makers. So I think it's there to stay, Grant. And I think we're on to a upper tank grand slam home run in the business side of it. And definitely with our influencers, meaning our digital, our creators, the people who are putting on these shows and the content creators, and with our fans in driving it and being a part of these chat rooms and communities. It's endless. And we've started off pretty damn well. And the metrics are saying it's kicking ass. So thank you. I'm proud to be the president of it. And it's a lot of hard work, but worth every second of it.
Well, I'm proud to talk to you each and every week, buddy. You have a great week. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll chat with you in a week.
Love you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, you're the best, Sean Salisbury, right there. Love it.
Oh,
and
hey,
again,
Grant.
it's Pro Sports Fans. Check it out. I think you'll be glad that you did. Also, I want to tell everybody about Bennett's West Side Grill. Yes, indeed. Bennett's West Side Grill, located at the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. Check it out, folks. Just go and get yourself lunch, dinner. They've got brunch on the weekends, the prime rib, over 60 different types of wine available by the glass. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com to make your reservation and more. Ryan in Sacktown, we're gearing up for the Seahawks and the Giants. He knows who I'm rooting for. I know who he's rooting for. And quite frankly, even though I picked the Giants in our pick'em pool, I don't feel good about this game from the Giants. No Andrew Thomas, their left tackle's out. No Saquon. They got a couple of other injuries that I think are going to really impact. Daniel Jones has never won on Monday night. Seattle is, I think, undefeated at MetLife Stadium. I think your team's in a good spot tonight, my friend.
Well, first off, Grant, I want to say it is great to see you didn't enroll for a graduate's degree at Tennessee.
How do you know that?
Well, maybe you are there right now. I'm not sure, but good to have you back here on If You Don't Like That. And yeah, it's the If You Don't Like That Bowl. Seahawks and the Giants. The Seahawks, 700 winning percentage on Monday Night Football. They are 5-0 at MetLife. Grant, this one's going to come down to running game. It is so important for Seattle to get that balance, to open things up for Geno Smith. Conversely, the Giants need to stop the run, 29th in the league right now. And actually, I would like to see a little up-tempo offense from the Giants because that's worked for them and Daniel Jones at times during the season. But I think we're in for a fun one, closer than you think.
No, I hope so. Again, Monday Night Football tonight with the Seahawks and the Giants. All right, are you on the same page with me as it relates to NBC and Taylor Swift? I mean, I think they went so overboard last night.
Yeah, it's ratings, Grant, though. Look at what Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, whatever you want to call them, have done with the spike in sales, spike in, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, they've got to focus on the game. Even the shots of Aaron Rodgers after every single play Zach Wilson made, it felt like just a little bit too much. Just give us our football, please. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of, I would think the Pick'em League didn't do very good yesterday. There were a lot of lopsided scores, weren't there?
Yeah, there were. And obviously the Mahomes slide that a lot of people are too happy about right now. But no, we actually had some good people this week. Yeah, so we got a number of people that are still over 500. You're at third, so you're hanging in there, bud.
I don't know how that happened. Riley wanted to know, how did the atmosphere at Knoxville compare to Tuscaloosa? The thing about when I was in Alabama 2 years ago for the Ole Miss game, they were up by 3 scores or so at the end of the first quarter. So it kind of like deflated the balloon a little bit. quite frankly, I thought the atmosphere was better in Knoxville than at Tuscaloosa, but by a hair, not by much. But you also have 102,000 people at the game. I think Bama's got 80 to 85, so you got another 15 to 20,000 people. It was unbelievable. I got to tell you, it was absolutely unbelievable. Plus, the game against Ole Miss was at 2:30 in the afternoon. This was a night game. The crowds at night, I don't know, for whatever reason, they seem to even get extra pumped up. But they were both great. But if I had to choose, I'd probably take the atmosphere at Knoxville by just a little bit. Have you ever been to a big time college football game?
I have not.
Oh my God.
It's something on the bucket list.
Oh,
so
it's unbelievable.
I want to make it to one, so I'll take some recommendations in the chat. If there is one that I'd want to go to, Notre Dame, USC at Notre Dame.
I want to go to an LSU game on a Saturday night down at Baton Rouge. That's what I want to do. I hear that night game at LSU is, I hear that's where you got to be. So that's my next thing I got to cross off. All right. I went to a basketball game at Duke. I went to a basketball game at Kansas, so I got that done. I got 2 things left on my sports bucket list: NFL game at Lambeau, college game at LSU.
There you go. Those are 2 good ones to still have on the list and very obtainable too.
Yeah. And then this coming weekend, I'm going to Vegas. And I'm hanging out with the Stanley Cup and my buddy George. So I'll have all my photos with the cup, and we might get a little crazy with the cup. And then I'll be at their home opener on, I think it's Tuesday, against, I don't even know who they're playing. I think they're playing Seattle. It doesn't even matter who they're playing, but I'll be at their first game, and I can't wait for that. But it's going to be a lot of fun hanging out with the cup next week.
How about that? 2 grown men in the cup. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I bet George will have the Coors Light on ice for you. You got to drink out of it.
His name's on the cup, mine's not. So I mean, it probably means a little bit more than it does me.
So,
but you know what? When I'm my name may be on the cup when we get done with it. You never
very
know,
well could be. So have you looked up your Stanley Cup etiquette if you're not actually a part of the team?
I have not, and I'm not going to.
Good. I was going to say, don't even look. You enjoy that thing to its fullest.
They have a individual, I can't remember his name. His full-time job is to accompany the cup wherever it goes. And, he's basically the policeman of the cup, so, and they've had to repair it a couple times. It's been damaged. And the history of that Stanley Cup is unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to that. That is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be at George's house with the Stanley Cup.
Amazing. If only that cup could tell stories. If only.
Oh wow. Yeah. All right. So give me a score tonight. What do you think?
I think it's going to be close. I think the spread's right on par. I'm going to go Seattle to win, but not to cover 23-21.
All right. I think Seattle's going to win 27-17, but I'm not going back into the pick'em to choose to switch from the Giants to the Seahawks. I'm staying with it, but I think Seahawks are going to win by 10 points.
Okay, fair enough. How about a little friendly wager? Maybe some Bennett's, little redfish.
Okay, what's the line again?
2.5.
All right, you're on.
All right, heard it here first.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to be on Listen App too. I'm going to do another show at 4:00, so I'm looking forward to that. Enjoy the game tonight, my friend.
Yeah, you too. I'm sure we'll be talking, and I'll see you at Listen App. Have a good one.
All right, that sounds great. Good stuff with Ryan there in Sacktown. Hey, don't forget that if you have any issues when it comes to plumbing, New Works Plumbing's got you covered. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Give me a thumbs up along with Ryan and Sean, and then I'll be with you in about 30 minutes. All right, let's see, 30 minutes from now, I'll be on Listen App. Very much looking forward to that, and then we're getting you ready for Monday Night Football. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us right here on If You Don't Like That. So long, everybody.